Hello, good evening, and welcome to class. Good evening and welcome to class. My name is Aniti, and I want to say thank you for being part of today's class. And as our custom is, if you're in class, please just, and you can hear me, just say loud and clear so we can use that as a key to note that the class is on. Okay, Mr. Musa Ibrahim Yakubu, you're welcome. I remember last week, Mr. Musa, I said I have an award for you, right? For always being the first to be in class. Mr. Musa, Mr. Dewale, or maybe if I am not correct with the pronunciation, you just forgive me. Joyce Chooks, you're welcome. Okay. Mr. Dewale said loud and clear. Mr. Dewale, thanks for this feedback. Victory Tom, I can hear loud and clear. Okay. Victory Tom, you're welcome. Let's see how many persons in class. Wow. Okay, this is interesting. So you're all welcome, and the basis for today's discussion is within the week I had a master class, and in that class the discussion was how to work with multiple data sets. A lot of persons know how to work with multiple data sets when it comes to Power BI, but they have not tried it with Excel, and you can do it very well with Excel. So in the next class or subsequent class, if you remind me, I'll teach you how to do it with Power Pivots. Today, I'll teach you how to do it with Power Query. Goodbye and welcome. Chidozie, you're welcome. Mr. Austin Benye, you're welcome. Okay, Uda said she was the first. Uda, don't worry, nobody can take your place. Okay, so let's get straight into it. I'll show us the data. Bumi, you're welcome. The Gospel TV, you're welcome. So we'll get straight into the class and see how we can play with the time available. And I'll start by showing us the data sets. And for those that will join us later, don't worry, I will also share the data sets to everybody in the community. I think that's our custom. We always share data sets. We always make it available so anybody can get it. So then while the class is on, if there is another topic you will want me to handle by next week, you can drop it in the comment section, and I'll make that available also. So let me pull up the screen for today so that we can share. For those that are not aware, if today is your first time, please remember to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that whenever I come up with my classes, you also get quick information. And for those joining us too for the first time, we hold this class every Sunday by 7 p.m. So you can always join us and then be part of this class. Okay, so this is the screen we want to work with. To be sure we're all seeing the same screen. Yeah, so this is the screen. Previously using this template, it was not easy to get the Excel screen. So let me be sure. Okay, good. Yes. So within the week, we try to sort this issue out of using the main screen. So let me bring this up so it will be clear this way. Okay. Yes, so we're in and we're on it. Now, before now, we've done something with HR data, we've done something with sales, we've done something with customer service. So I said, let me bring something on health data. And like I said earlier, this is to introduce us to data modeling. Now, what is a data model? Now, a data model is a relationship between multiple data sets. So for most of us beginners, working with data, over the years, we're used to working with just one data in one worksheet or one table, one data set. Now, in real application, majority of the times, more than 90% of the times, you will meet data sets that come from multiple tables. And I'll give you an example. Now, there's a client I have in Port Harcourt, and they're in charge of preparing the payroll for this expatriate company. So every month, there is a data, and they have to analyze. So for January, there's a data, there's February, the data is created, March, and it continues. Now, when you want to analyze this as a single data set, the management don't want January data, February data, March data. They want the data set together as just one, January, February, and March. So to do that, we need to create a data model. That is one example. Another example of a data model is, let's say we have a data set, we have data from the sales department, we have a data from the finance department, we have a data from the customer service department, we have a data from the operations. So when the customer is served, the sales department need to confirm the customer details, and then the finance department need to take record of the payment. Now, you will need to bring these three data sets together. That is also a data model. So how do you connect these tables together so that you can analyze? That's what we're learning to do. And I'll give us this example. This is a hospital data. Now, they have 50 patients for now. This analysis is for 50 patients. And in the patients table, we can see the patient's ID, the name, the age, the gender, and the marital status of the patient. Then when these patients come to the hospital, each patient is assigned to a doctor. So the doctor would do the diagnosis. You can see pneumonia, appendicitis, heart attack, and all that. And then the outcome of the treatment, if the patient is still in treatment or has fully recovered. Then after the treatment, we then get to the account department where the patient has to go make payment. So for each patient, you see the receipt ID and the date the payment was made and the amount the patient paid for the particular service. And after that, the patient is asked to rate the doctor. So you see for each patient, there's a rating, and the rating is between 5. The rating is between 5 and I think the rating is between 6 and 10. 10 means very good, then 6 means not too good. So the patient will rate the doctors, and then this is where we have the doctor details. We have 4 doctors, which is Dr. Emeka Oyema, Dr. Chioma Nwosu, Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, Dr. Nkechi Okeke, and Dr. Ade Oluwa Femi. So these are the 4 doctors. So from this, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data sets, and we need to model. We need to create a model of these data sets. So let's look at the objective. The owners of the hospital, the management of the hospital, they want us to analyze this data, and then they want us to tell them, number one, which doctor generated the highest amounts within the period. That's number one. Number two, we should check the ratings of the doctor and which doctor has a better or higher rating. Then number three, the number of patients handled by each doctor. These information, if you check, you cannot get them from just one table. So we need to create a relationship between these tables to be able to bring out that information. So that's what we want to do. I'll use 1 second to quickly check some questions. I'm seeing questions in the platform and see the ones I can answer. This is my first time here. Very happy to be. Pumi, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon, and we'll ring bell for you when you do that. Okay, Jufi Academy, loud and clear, welcome. And then Emeka Cookie, you're welcome. Austin Benye, welcome. So your image is blocking parts. Okay, let me take my image off the screen. In that case, let me take my image off the screen. So let's have this full screen. I think it's better now. Okay, so any question? Are we all on the same page? I'm moving to the next part. So the next part, we want to call in Power Query. Like I said when we started, today I'll teach you how to do it with Power Query. Then subsequently, if assuming you ask for it, I'll also show you how to do it with Power Pivot. Professionally, to do this analysis, Power Pivot is better compared to Power Query. Why? Power Pivot will make the database lighter. When I handle the Power Pivot class, I'll tell you how that is. I suppose I detailed all this during the master class. Okay, but let's go. So first, we want to call this data into Power Query. So Control N, I just hit Control N to create a new Excel. Let me bring my Control N to create a new Excel. Then I go to Data. I go to Get Data. You can get data from different sources. Go to From File, and then we hit From Excel Workbook. The data is actually an Excel workbook. The name of the data set is Medical Data Set Merge. So I click on it, then I click on Import. When we click on Import, the navigator button will ask us, okay, we can see the different worksheets, doctor, patient payments, rating, and treatment. Okay, so we can just select here to select multiple worksheets. We want to take multiple worksheets at the same time, 4 and 5. Okay, so select the 5 worksheets and click on transform data. So this will open the Power Query Navigator. So this will open the Power Query Editor, and we have our 5 data sets here. This is the doctor detail, this is the patient detail, treatment detail, ratings detail, and payment detail. Now, one of the conditions for you to create a data model is at least for each of the tables, you must have at least one common table, one common column between the tables. And the second condition is the data type must be the same. These 2 conditions, we must meet them for us to be able to connect the tables to create a relationship between. So our attention will be towards the main table where we have the transaction. So let's start with the treatment table. We'll go to the treatment table and then start all our discussion. Then we'll clean the tables, make sure that the data sets, they are the same. So let's start with the doctor table. The doctor table has the doctor ID, the name of the doctor, and the area of specialty. So what we'll do for all these tables, I've discussed it before, that your primary key, it is advisable to leave your primary key as text. So I'll just change the primary key to text. So actually replace current, we say yes. Okay, we're okay with this, we're okay with this. Okay, we go to the patient table. The patient table, we have this is the ID. So we change the primary key to text. Replace current. Okay, the name of the patient, that's okay. The age, that's okay. Gender, marital status, that's okay. Interestingly, they are not part of the objectives of the class. So write them. The treatment, the doctor, remember the doctor details here, we change the key to text. So up here too, we need to change the key, the primary key, the key for the doctor ID. We need to change this. Okay, we change the key to text, and the one for the primary for the patient ID, we'll also change it to text. Good. Then we come to the ratings table. So it depends on the number of tables you're working with. The first thing is to make sure that the data type for the common column, they are the same. So that's what we're doing. That's to make it, since we're working with primary key, we're making the keys to we change the data type to text. Patient ID here, we change it to text. Good, and the ratings, we leave it as number. Then for the payment, change the receipt ID to text. Replace current. Change the patient ID to text. Replace current. The date, we change the data type to date. Dates. Replace current, and the amount we change it to currency. Replace current. When we get to Excel, we will just change the amount to the Naira symbol. Okay, so what we just did now is the cleaning of the data. We have just cleaned the data. Now let's merge the data. And to merge the data, Excel has this Power Query has this button called merge and combine. Now merge is when we want to bring in data with different sets of variables, of columns. But append is when we want to join the same data sets that have different information. So in this case, we work with merge queries. So click on merge queries, we'll have merge queries and merge queries as new. Now, if we select merge queries, it will use one of these tables and then edit that. But if you say merge queries as new, it will create another query, that is another table for the queries. That's what we want. So click on merge queries as new. So it will give us another table to ask us how do we want to merge the query. How do we want to merge the queries? So let's start with the transaction file. So we'll take treatments here. We want to merge the treatment table and the doctor table because we have a common information there. So treatment table and doctor table. So in the treatment table, the information we need what we need to relate these two tables is the doctor information. So to click on doctor here, click on doctor here. So what the selection matches 50% of 50% rows from the first table. So what we have done now, we have created a relationship between these two tables. So just click OK. To create, if you check here, to create a new table now called merge. So we can just call this table the merge table. And now if you look at this particular point, it's showing us that for the doctors, merging the doctors to this, we have this additional button we need to look into. So click on it, click on the button, and which information do we want to add to this new table? We only need the name of the doctor from this table. We don't need the doctor ID because the doctor ID is here. We don't need the specialization because we are not asked to analyze that. We just need the name of the doctor. So use original column name as prefix. We don't need that. So move it and then say OK. So you can see that it automatically adds the name of the doctors to this table. We can now trace the doctors to each of these patients. So good. The next one we want to add now, we want to link this particular table with the patient's table. So we go to merge again. Now this time we'll use merge queries because we're working on this table. We don't want to create a new table. So click on merge queries. Okay. So this time we want to merge it with the patient table. So bring up the patients. Good. So the common column here is the patient's ID and the patient's ID here. So when we pick these two, we check here the selection matches. So immediately it matches, and we go to, in SQL, what we're doing is called join. Because for those that have SQL background, so we click on OK. Now, when we come to this point, what information do we need from the patient's table? So we remove all this. We already have the patient's ID. We don't need that. The patient's name. Patient's name is not so much a thing of. We're not asked to analyze that. We can pick the age of the patient, the gender, and the marital status. These are the three things we need to analyze. We don't need to analyze the name of the patients. You get. Now we're picking the age, the gender, and the marital status. Maybe I'll give you that one as an assignment to model that. You get. But for now, what the hospital said we should do, three common things. One, the amount generated by each doctor. Then two, the rating of each doctor. And then three, the number of patients handled by each doctor. So let's assume that there's another project that will also want us to check the average age of patients handled by a doctor. So from this, the hospital can know doctor number A is very good with people that are between ages this and this. Doctor number B. Secondly, the hospital can also know this particular doctor is good with female, this particular doctor is good with male. Then thirdly, using this to the hospital can also know this particular doctor is good with married people, with single, or with divorce, and all that. So we just add this so that I can work with it later. So I click on OK. You can see we have added this additional information. Then you can also merge this again. We merge this same table to the payments, because this is where we'll get the details about how much you paid. And the common column here is the patient's ID and the patient's ID. So with this join, we can merge these two. And then we come to this part. The only information we need here is the amount. So from this, we can trace for each doctor how much we paid. And we click OK. And then we get to the last one. The last one is what we merge with the ratings. So we click on this, and then we merge this with the ratings. So let's go to the ratings. So for the patient's ID and the patient's ID, we merge this table. We click on this button here, and we say the only thing we need from this table is what? The review ratings. And we click OK. So as short and as simple as it is, we have created a relationship between these tables. Like I shared earlier, that this method is using Power Query. There is a better method, and that one is using Power Pivot. I will also discuss that one in a subsequent class. So we have created the relationship between these tables. We have created a new table that is a combination of all the details we need from these other tables. Any information we don't need from this table, we can take it out at this point. We're not asked to analyze the treatment outcome. We're not asked to analyze the diagnosis. We can simply remove the treatment outcome. We can remove the diagnosis. I told us earlier we're not asked to analyze age, gender, and marital status, but I'll leave that for you in case you want to work with that later. Now, between the patient ID, the yeah, so we have the patient ID. We use that for the counts. That is okay. So at this point, we close and load. So this will load all the tables, including the merge table to Excel. Questions. Let's come up with our questions. Let's quickly look at the questions. Questions. Any question? Any question? Okay, so in the absence of the questions, we continue. Entire screen, and I share the screen. Okay, so we're back to life, and I bring up our Excel. So let's continue. Now let's go specifically to the questions. The first question is the amount generated by each doctor. So we click on this and we go to insert and we click on pivot table. We need to create a pivot table to handle this and add this to data model. Click on OK. So from here, we can easily bring the doctor's information down here and then bring the amounts. So, excuse me, we can click on this and say number formats. We can change the currency to Naira, and then we click one decimal place and we say OK. So the entire amount generated within the period is 8,250,000. And if we sort this from largest to smallest, we can see that we don't need the doctor ID. What we need here is the doctor, the name of the doctor. So let's bring this and then take up the doctor ID. So we can quickly see that Dr. Ade Oluwafemi is the highest in terms of earning, 1.8 million, and Dr. Kechi is the lowest with 1.62. And if we want to quickly create a chart to represent this, we can come up with, we need to filter first. So right click and filter, So that means Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf is the highest, then Dr. Chioma Osu is the lowest. So we can quickly edit this to come up this way, and we can add the data labels if we want to. And also I can use my own colors. Okay. So this gives us the first answer, the first analysis. You can see that quickly. Okay, then the second question is, to do the second question, instead of creating on our pivot table, we can just copy this and paste here and drag out the sum of the amounts, and we'll bring in the ratings. Now in the ratings, we'll not use sum of it. Instead, we're supposed to use the average. So right click on it, click on value field settings, say average, and then click OK. Then we'll change this to just number, and we'll say, well, let's see 2 decimal places. Okay, good. Then we sort this. We sort it from largest to smallest. And if we decide to use another chart, this time let's use a bar chart. Okay. So in terms of rating, let's look at it. In terms of rating, let's try this. Remove this, and let's see the rating, add data labels. Okay. Let's just play with another color from the color sequence. Okay. So then to make it from highest to lowest, reverse the sort order. So in terms of rating, Dr. Nkechi has a higher rating of 8.0, She did not generate much money, but she has a very good rating. And then Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, wow. So the company needs to check very well. Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, interestingly, that generated the highest amount seems to have the lowest rating. So the company needs to look into that. Then for us to answer question number 3 is to check the number of patients handled by each doctor. So we'll just drag in patient ID, and we can sort, we just sort this from highest to lowest, from largest to smallest. Okay, because of the number of points, we use this chart. This one comes in handy, and we hide all fields. So we take this off, we take this off, we take this off, and we bring in the data labels, and pick another color, let's say orange. Okay, so in terms of number of patients, Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf has the highest number of patients, then Dr. Chioma also has the highest number of patients. Now, there is something we need to do. By this, we're through with the presentation, and we can quickly make an observation with this presentation. Now, if we discover that Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, now, generating the highest sales is not because of anything special. It's just because they sent more clients to him. So we can make it a discussion. If we discover that Dr. Chioma Nwosu has a higher rating, more patients should be sent to Dr. Chioma Nwosu. That is one quick recommendation we can make for these analysis. Because one thing we have seen that when it comes to the amounts generated, there is a relationship between the number of clients given and the amounts generated. We can quickly check that by doing this. If we bring this one out here, count of patients ID, then we'll also bring amounts. Also, if we bring this one here, count of patients ID, then we'll also bring amounts generated. We get these two. We can't plot these two this way because the chart will not be equal. Let me show us what will happen. If we try to plot this chart, if somebody should do this as a chart, this is extremely wrong. Let me show us this. So this is not correct because you can't look at them equally. So instead, we need to create a reference point, percentage of column total for both of them. If we do the two percentage of column total, now if we create a chart, you'll see that we can easily tell. Good. Okay, now see this chart is giving us the actual. So this is more like the correlation we just did now. And you can see very well that there is a relationship between the number of patients. There's a relationship between the number of patients and the amount generated. So Adewale, what's his name? This particular person is Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf. Do you get? And Adewale and others that are topping the charts on the amount generated. It's not like they generate. It's not like they are very good per se in terms of customer feedback. It's because of the number of customers sent to them. That's what we are seeing with this number. So our recommendation to this particular hospital is Dr. Chioma Nwosu has a Dr. Nkechi Okeke has the highest rating, followed by Dr. Emeka Onyema. We're looking at this chart. So these people, especially these two, should be given more patients. Assuming, now there's an assumption, assuming they all have the same specialty and they all treat the same type of cases. You get, let's say, for example, is a hospital that takes care of pregnant women. To an extent, the doctors, they all handle the same kind of cases. So at this point, our attention will be with respect to this chart, this particular one that has the rating. Nkechi Okeke is the person performing very well. Okay, so in a quick way, I think in less than 30 minutes, I've shown us how to create a relationship between multiple tables using Power Query. At this point, we're through with the class. So I'll come up now and then we take our questions. We'll look at it. Questions quickly, questions and then discussion. Questions. Let me take our questions. Okay, so the first question on the list. Okay, somebody said, what happens the question is on the screen, so we can all read. What happens if the selections are not the same during the merging? Now, if the data type is not the same, the connection will not work. So the rule remains that the data type must be the same, and there must be a common column between the two tables you want to merge. Okay, the next question by Temi says, I have the fields from each table we merge apart. Apart from knowing each field of the table, how do you differentiate if the age is for doctor or patient? Do you get? No, Mr. Temi Yemi, please fine-tune this question, but I'll try to answer it with an example. Then she also said, what if the row don't match for some different worksheets? No, it does not depend on the number of rows. It's not a challenge. In the data set we just worked on now, if you check the doctor worksheet has only 5 rows, but the other one has 50, and the merge still works. So it's not dependent on the number of rows. Will Power BI give us the same cleaning result? Okay, Bumi said, will Power BI give us the same result? Yes, Power BI has both Power Query and Power Pivot. So Power BI will get the same result. Okay, then we have, please, why did you filter the first pivot table? Throughout this analysis, we did not filter any pivot table. No, we did not. Okay. I think this is Ghanaian. You said, please, does it mean that an Excel, you create multiple visuals and data on single spreadsheet? I did not really get the question, but I think you're asking if we can bring multiple data sets to one. If that is the question, yes, that's what we just did. Where the data are not the same, what can be done? Now, if the data they are not the same, for it to work, number one, there must be a common column. What the challenge that mostly happens in cases like this is where the data type is not the same. At that point, you need to create the same data type, number one. Number two, if the common column does not exist, then you need to learn more about what is called ERD, Entity Relationship Diagram. That's where you can create an additional column as long as you understand the data set very well. Then Musa Ibrahim said, how do you come up with the rating? The rating, they gave the more like a form to the patients, and the patients, they fill 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 means very good and 6 means very bad. Then the last question says, can we use a different chart for the last analysis? Yes, we can use a different chart. Let me quickly answer that question. We can use a different chart. For example, one of the best charts to show if there's a relationship between two data points is a scatter plot. So if we create a scatter plot, we can use a scatter plot. We can use, we can use a column chart. You can also show us the relationship. This is one, but the best chart for this is a scatter plot. So let's bring up a scatter plot, and I just paste this here. I say I want only the values, and go to insert and click on scatter plots. So you can see scatter plots. If you click on this plus and say show us the trend line, you can see in correlation. What we just did is more like correlation. This is a positive. This is called a positive correlation. This is what we have here. So this is another way to represent that. Okay. Any more question? Let's see. Any more question? Okay. I think Yo was referring to creating multiple pivot tables charts in a single worksheet. Yes, you can create more than one pivot table and chart in a worksheet. Then somebody said, I observed you generated the visuals directly from the model without extraction. Yes, you can do that. You can also use, you can also work with the pivot table directly. So most times, for those that have got my course before, you see me extract. Now, pivot table limits the chart, the usage of charts. So when I extract so much, so the key reason, one of the key reasons is with normal table, you can manipulate the charts, the visuals. But with pivot table, it is limited. You can't use, for example, you can't use map. You can't create map with a pivot chart. You can't create funnel charts, and then some other fine charts. You can't do it easily with pivot table. Okay, I'll take 2 more questions and we close for today. This question, please, I kindly send the data set as you can get, so we can get our hands on this work to perfect. Okay, yes, I always drop my data sets. So immediately after this class, you check the description, you'll get the link to the data sets. Somebody says send the data set. I will send. And they want to say, please, I have a personal chat with you to relate the data. I have a personal chat with you to relate the data set given to me in my last interview. Okay, I would love to look at it. It's good that we all continue to learn. So thank you very much for being part of today's class. That was a simple chat and a simple class, and it was straight to the point. And this is also to let us, for those that are not aware, I want to assume a lot of us were aware already. I have yesterday I released my second course. Do you get? Yesterday I released my second course, and is a complete sales analysis course, data analytics course. But the example data is a sales data, and I covered a lot in this particular course, and I will encourage you to get the course. That's number 1. I have 2 courses actually, so this is one of the courses, and then the second course is this other one. Is also on sale. This other one is data analytics. This one is for beginners, and it's for 5,000, and you can go through the course outline, and you can also see the ratings, number of persons that have gone through the course, and the ratings. For example, Jim, Nina, Frederick said, awesome tutorial, very detailed. Thank you, Mr. Anity, for making this course easy to understand. Cheers. I bet you buying this course is one of the best. This is one of the best Excel data analytics courses using Excel you will buy. I encourage you to get this course, the beginner course. Then I also encourage you to get the advanced course. You get the advanced course. Having these 2 courses. For example, if I'm having a master class, I can decide to just pick one person from the community and say, okay, you have access to attend the class for free. These are some other benefits and things you get in getting my course. So I'll just drop the link to get the course in the section. You can always order the course, and I would love to see you in my community. So any more questions? We're through for today. Today's class was I enjoyed today's class. It was sharp, it was straight to the point, and in 30 minutes we're done. And yeah. Okay, make up I've been finding difficult to download the new course. Okay, make up quickly. You're in the community. You can just say hi in the community. We can always check whether it's something that has to do with your network or the download process. People have already started the course, so if it's 1 or 2 things that we need to look into, it's not a challenge. Okay, so please, thank you very much for joining today's class. My plea with those of us that attend these classes is one of the ways you can also give back or appreciate what we do. Myself and my community, thanks to members of the community, thanks to Austin, thanks to Ruth and others too. So one of the things you can do to encourage us is to always share, post, talk about. There's a class like this, you can share it with your friends. You're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Twitter, you're on X, on WhatsApp, on other platforms. While the class is on, you can just take a screen grab or share the link, inviting others to be parts of the class. Then you can also subscribe, and then if there's a part in the class that caught your attention, you can make a post on it on LinkedIn and also share. Thank you very much. For those that took part in the HRO data, today is the closing day to submit your entries. Please remember to submit your entries, share it on LinkedIn, and we'll take it up from there. I wish you all a very fine week, and I'll see you next Sunday by 7 p.m. Thank you and good night.